Hello, welcome to a Thursday Business News Report. It's now time to bring you a feature on the show today. Now, there are growing concerns around motorists spending hours of their productive day on queues as haulage companies and marketers raise concerns over changes in retail price of petroleum products. Well, this development was one of the events recorded at the start of the week, which is further fueled by the implementation of the Petroleum Industry Act, especially the inability of the Nigerian Midstream and Downstream Petroleum Regulatory Authority to resolve and also bridge fuel transportation. Most fuel stations belonging to Major Oil Marketers Association of Nigeria, MOMAN, and Independent Petroleum Marketers Association of Nigeria, IPMAN, including Total, Mobil, Eternal, and also others, was shut while a handful that sold the product dispensed from fuel pumps. Now, the issue, which affected both city centers and suburbs, might soon cripple economic activities, according to some, particularly the northern region of the country, which requires more transportation subsidies. A meeting between marketers and the government last week, Thursday, did not produce significant results. Vice President of IPMAN, Abubakar Shitima, told reporters that the independent depot owners now sell the product at wholesale price of 158 naira, insisting the rate is unsustainable if marketers must sell at the pump price of 165 naira per litre. Joining me now to discuss this and much more, I have Adeola Yusuf, Team Lead, Platforms Africa. Good to have you on the breakfast show this morning.
My pleasure, good morning.
What was your first reaction with this report, especially from the city centre, Abuja, in terms of the growing concerns and the build-up of queues? Now, some would say this is ordinarily the pattern we see when we're getting to the Yuletide, the festive season. Then others had concerns about Nupeng threatening a strike action, and now this report. What do you make of all of these?
Okay, based on experience, this is the peak period. This is a time even those that are sitting in nnpc, know that things will happen. Even those that are sitting in Nasirok knows that things will happen for two reasons. Number one, the demand this time around, increases, and when there is an increase in demand, it affects the supply and the entire value chain. So that has been the case. We all understand that up till this sample meal we're talking this morning, nnpc is still the major importer of this product, and that corporation has since last month been saying that they have enough stock, but we are still seeing this pocket of queues. We are not feeling it so much in the southwest part of the country because of the depots in Lagos, and because but they are feeling it up north, and it's a growing concern for everyone. So I as a person will expect this because this is the period. And another angle to this is that this is the time that the labor union usually try to negotiate. They are all strategists. If there is something they have been agitating for all this while, and government is not giving them a listening ear, this is the time they will see. You will see even the Chevron matter that has been hanging all this while. This is the time they are issuing ultimatum and upon ultimatum, because they know that this is the time that the government will not want itself to be messed up. So by and large, the most important thing for every Nigerian is to drive into a filling station, buy and drive out. So all those dogo trenchi, whether the government is right, whether the labor union is right, is of less concerns to Nigerians who actually need this product. And you will still agree with me that the power generation is nothing to talk about. A lot of Nigerians businesses, small scale businesses, rely on generators, and they rely on this. So the most important thing, nnpc has kept saying that they have that stock, and we are seeing that they are having that stock because we are not seeing much of those activities around Lagos where they have those stocks. So but the most important thing, just like I said, is to ensure that Nigerian is flooded, just like they usually say with the product, because of the centrality of that product to our living and to our businesses.
Now, you've said a whole lot, but let's look at the matter at hand right now. Some believe that this spread of the issue of the looming fuel scarcity will still spread to other parts of the country. Do you think that would likely happen?
Okay, I think it will likely happen if the right things are not done. Because of the trade by no paying, if those, critical stakeholders, down tools, it is going to be a big problem. It's going to be a shutdown. So it will affect everywhere. Just like I said, those in government too are not sitting. I am aware that meeting upon meeting are going on, because as a journalist, I usually put calls across to know what is actually happening. And no serious government will want itself to be messed, up, particularly at this critical time. It's duly tied. Everything is, the economic, when it comes to the lower cadre of the society, there is hardship. You understand? We can't hack this first crisis into the hardship that Nigerians are already facing.
But what do you think is fueling this lull we're having in terms of the communication between labor and government and other parties within the haulage system, within the downstream sector? What do you think is fueling all of these? We continue to have meetings, we continue to have committees set up, we continue to look into the matters, yet not much is done in terms of sustainability and ensuring that we don't have repetitive conversations around the same old matter. This is just the regular pattern, if you'd agree with me.
Yes. Before talking about that, it's important that I note that a friction between the labor union and the employer has always been since the system, even before the industrial revolution.
But that's an abnormality.
It is an abnormality depending on the way we are looking at it, because based on the nature of man, if you want to have more. You understand? There is nowhere you will see an employee being satisfied 100% with the system. So there will be that friction. But the most important thing is that those that are the employers too should understand that, and should understand how to manage the employees. So having said that, I think it is something that the government needs to work on, because the reason we are having all this is the trust deficit in the system. No one trusts no one. If you are driving with half tank in your vehicle and you see 4, 5, 7 vehicles queue up in a filling station, you have half tank, you will drive into that filling station to fill up. And the marketer too, having discovered that yesterday he didn't have this number of vehicles queue up for fuel, he will immediately shut his gate, because he doesn't trust those people too. The government doesn't trust us, we don't trust the government. There's that trust deficit in the system. But even with that, the government should not allow itself to be messed up. Nigerians cannot at this moment, afford any fuel crisis, because of the centrality of that product to our, assistance.
Let's also look at exploitative tendencies we have, which take such situations like we have on ground and just make the most out of it, not necessarily in a positive way. Looking at those who indulge in sharp practices and do we call it rationing? No, what's the English word to use to describe it? But those who adjust their pumps at this point in time, what sort of hammer do you expect to be wielded just to ensure that we have corrective measures being put in place and we send that message that there needs to be sanity within the petroleum sector?
Yes. When it comes to a situation like this, there are people that are waiting to profiteer. They will adjust their, pump, they will adjust anything they think they can adjust. They will do everything to exploit the people. This is a time the government needs to ensure that those people don't have, a field day. Unfortunately, there is an issue of transition from DPR to a new. So I don't want that. I don't expect that to affect the proper monitoring of the system, because at the end of the day, even with the stock that the nnpc has been flaunting all this while, that system can still be messed up by some people that are waiting for the utility period to profit. You will see that even with the stock that we have, we are supposed to not have the amount of queues, the amount of hardship that are coming up now, even with the stock we have. But unfortunately, those guys shouldn't be allowed to do whatever they like. Definitely, a businessman that is not, conscious of humanity and is not, conscious of, God's existence and God's punishment, we want to profiteer. Immediately, they are already waiting for that period. Even if the owner of those filling stations won't do it, those attendants would do it. Every one of them, and if you look at that, it's an issue for another day. If you look at that system, there's even an overhaul in that, downstream system, because those attendants are paid, very, very meager amount with promises that you can make your money if you open your eyes very, very well. That is a result of an investigation that I've done. And a lot of them will collect as little as 5,000 naira per month, whereas it is those that are going there to buy, that they will make sure that
the milk. Let's look at this final discussion now in terms of those who are also panic buying, stockpiling as well. Yes, there's a limit to the safety concerns you can take up when you have to stockpile. Nigerians are paying much more for gas. They wouldn't want to get to that point where they also caught in a stock situation because of fuel scarcity, if that should happen. So many people are trying to take proactive steps and then store. What's your word to those who also, at this point in time, store in the jerry cans and gallons and a whole lot more?
There will never be an explanation for that. There will never be a convincing explanation that anyone that is doing that will give. The reason is the flammability of this product. You will understand that as someone that has been following this trend, the next news you are likely to be hearing is the burning of houses. If this situation is not tamed, that after fuel crisis, the next thing you start hearing is properties, going up in flames, because people will start stockpiling. There is no explanation you will give to that, or else you want to lose your property and lose lives, valuable lives. So there is no explanation you want to. I've kept repeating it, that anyone will want to give. So I'm using the opportunity to tell Nigerians that it is of no sense. It makes no sense to stockpile this product because of
safety concerns.
The safety concern.
Thank you very much for your time on the breakfast show this morning. Adeola Yusuf, it's been a pleasure speaking with you. We hope the authorities and the stakeholders that matter take action and ensure that we have availability of the products. There's the Yuletide. We have to all realize that this is the peak of the season and we just need to do better. Thank you very much.
My pleasure always. Thank you.